I thought it would be interesting to compare my blood work to his because we're about the same height, the same weight, and I know for sure that I'm natural. I mean, if you think I'm lying, let me know down in the comments and I will take that as a compliment. So I'm gonna watch this Greg Doucette video and go through and compare my numbers to see how close is it to what he has and if something seems off from that standpoint.
So this is LabCorp. It says his name. We've taken out certain private information, but guys, he didn't pay them off. This is not AI.
Private information, it's kind of funny. Here's mine. My name, date of birth. I was in the military and there are 4 things you could give away if you're captured is your name, rank, date of birth, and serial number. So it's like, whatever, my name and birthday. I'm 36 years old.
The first thing you need to see is that everything is in the reference range, but I want you to look very specifically at hemoglobin.
Hemoglobin, let's take a look. See my hemoglobin, 13.6. And I also have my previous one back in October I did before this, so almost 6 months prior. And we can compare those numbers as well to see what's changed. And his is 14.7.
Hemoglobin's 14.7. When you do steroids, when you're on performance enhancing drugs, typically you have more red blood cells and that is gonna go up. Does this show any signs whatsoever?
So that's gonna go up. This is at the low end of the reference range, so I guess that's a good sign.
Absolutely not. And so before, I've already predicted what you're gonna say. Oh, he just donated blood. That's easy. I know that if you have high hemoglobin and so on, you can donate your blood, it's gonna lower that. If that actually happened, he would have reduced levels of iron and ferritin. Notice he does not. And so
his ferritin's 94, a reference of 30 to 400. Mine's 226. He said you'd have reduced levels, so that is a lot lower than mine, but I don't know. Did he donate blood?
Next, we see complete metabolic panel, brackets 14. And so you see some numbers saying low and high. These are out of the reference range. This is not normal. And so something's fishy is going on. And so what we notice is that his glucose is actually low 57. And what we know of Hussein, he's at
glucose, mine was 83, reference of 70 to 99. And I was fasted when I did mine.
And remember, this patient was not fasting. He actually had eaten before doing this test. Remember, he'd driven multiple hours to do this test. He wasn't fasting, yet still had low glucose. And so what that means, he's on a very low calorie diet. Now, notice how the bun is high.
Bun. Mine has been high. Mine is 23. Previous time it was 21. His is 26, reference of 6 to 20. So what does that mean?
A ton of protein. Bodybuilders typically eat a lot of protein. Almost any bodybuilder on a very high protein diet is going to have higher or elevated levels of bun. This does not indicate steroids.
Yeah, and the creatinine as well. Here mine's 1.28. Before it was 1.2. The high end of reference range is 1.27. And pretty much from what I read, when I was going over this, when I saw these high, I was like, oh no, what does that mean? And essentially it's like you said, with the protein, eating a high protein diet will do that. And also, what do they call it? Like intensive exercise can cause that. So there you go. I'm working out pretty much every single day, whether it's lifting weights or doing some kind of cardio. So that's gonna make those levels higher.
We have AST and ALT, 26 and 19.
It's fine, AST and ALT. So his is 26, mine is 30, ALT 28, his is 19. And those are both in the middle to upper of the normal reference range.
Very low. And so he's not only is he not on performance enhancing drugs, he's also likely not drinking any alcohol.
Same for me. I don't drink alcohol at all. So there you go. That would make sense for that. Bilirubin 0.9 for mine. That's in the normal reference range.
Liver issues, which from taking orals would be highly suspect. And so this is a point in Hussein's favor. Also, albumin and protein total, where it says
albumin and protein total. Mine's 6.8 protein total, his is 7, 4.4 albumin, his is 4.5, and those are within the same normal reference
7
ranges.
7 and 4.5. Those are a lot lower than typically seen on people who are using steroids. Next, his lipid panel.
Lipids, so cholesterol. Important to know this stuff because that will show what your risk of heart disease is. And using steroids and SARMs will increase that. HDL is the good one that you want to be high, and LDL is the bad one that you want to be low. So comparing that here, cholesterol total 164, his is lower than mine at 154. Triglycerides, mine are 43, his are pretty high at 89. Then HDL 65, his is low at 41. And then LDL, mine is at 90, his is at 96. So not terrible within the reference ranges. You'll see here, my first panel, 116 was my LDL. It was rather high. I was slacking off on cardio, and I decided, you know what, I'm gonna start hitting that hard for the next few months. I did my initial blood work in October, as you can see here, and then I did it again in February. So from that October to February, just from doing a lot of cardio, this went from above the reference interval to the higher end of it, but that decreases a lot my risk for heart disease, for heart attacks, and it made this LDL to HDL ratio even lower, which is something that's important. You see here 1.9 was my previous one, which is still pretty low on the reference range. You see here the risk of men and women for the ratio for heart disease, and it went from 1.9 to 1.4. So the lower that ratio is, the better.
And the most advanced measurement of LDL, ApoB, you can see that below at 84. Oh.
ApoB, I don't think I had that on my test. Nope, don't see it.
Let's get into some of the hormones, LH and FSH.
Let's see, LH and FSH. All right, so here's mine. LH 3.6 is 3.4, FSH 3.5, 2.7. Those are both in the normal reference interval.
Everybody understands that these are going to be suppressed while taking performance-enhancing drugs. If your LH is low and your FSH is low, your body is simply depressed. You probably took some steroids, Anavar, SARMs, Osprey, whatever, and your body isn't producing those hormones as much. You're likely not producing as much testosterone.
So those would be depressed. These are within the normal range here. So, and they stayed the same, pretty much. This one up a little bit, but stayed mostly the same between these two tests.
And notice the ratio. The LH is 3.4 and FSH is 2.7. Remember the Natty or Not I just posted where he outed himself? His LH was 10.8. His FSH was about the same, 2.6. Wow. And so do you see the ratio was significantly off? That would indicate he was on something like enclomiphene. And so because of these results, his LH, it would have been suppressed. It would have been lower. It's not lower. He's not on HCG. And remember, enclomiphene, it does the opposite. And so sometimes when people go on steroids, it reduces their ability to have kids. This is something that can actually happen, not for it.
Obviously, another good indication that I didn't use anything because we got 6 kids.
And so because of the infertility, the body is trying to produce babies. And so the FSH will actually come back higher faster than the LH. The LH will be lower and the FSH will be higher. We don't see this here. The LH is higher than the FSH. And so this 100% normal. Next, testosterone levels. We see 589 nanograms.
So everyone wants to know what's your testosterone level, because it's got to be over 1,000, right? If someone builds a lot of muscle. 589. You know, if it was Alex Eubank, he'd probably be crying saying my testosterone isn't high enough at 589. But look, 5'11", I'm 36 years old, almost 37, right pretty much in the middle of the normal reference range.
Per deciliter, that's close to 600. This is perfectly normal. This is a normal person's testosterone. Had he done the test a little bit earlier, could have been higher. Yeah, maybe it would have been 650. We don't know. But a normal person's testosterone is going to be in the several hundreds. If it had been 1,000 plus, 2,000 would have been like, hey, this is strange. It's over 1,000, but it's nearly 600. That seems normal. It's perfectly acceptable. And considering he's actually in a calorie deficit, it isn't all that bad. Some people are saying, oh, if your testosterones are only 500s and so on, it's not high enough. This is normal. It doesn't have any problems with this whatsoever.
If you get your testosterone level checked, don't sit there and worry about, oh no, I wish it was higher. I wish it was 700, 800. Like mine's 500. I feel completely normal. I sleep good. I work out fine. I don't feel bad at all. Like everything feels like it's functioning normally. So don't feel like you need to be going and jumping on TRT or something because guys like Alex Eubank tell you need to have 1,000 or more.
Doesn't have any signs of taking
to feel good.
HRT and so on. And so you got to conclude, still, it seems he's natural. Next, designer steroids, the secret ones, special ones, they oftentimes will increase prolactin.
Prolactin. Let's see, mine is at 9.0, previously 7.7. That's a reference of 3.9 to 22.7. So it's, again, pretty close to the middle of the reference range.
Notice his prolactin's 5.2, it's normal. And so, again, he's probably not on steroids. And next up, the free testosterone. This is the testosterone that your body's actually going to use. It's at 14.4.
14.4 free testosterone. And really, free testosterone is more important than just your overall testosterone level because how much of that can you actually use? So I don't know why they did a different type of reading, this 99.6 with this reference range here. It doesn't show the previous reading because it was measuring something else. So this was the original one here, 12.74 out of 5 to 21. So pretty close to what his is. He's got a little bit higher free testosterone than me, so good for him.
Between 9.3 and 26, and so he's not in the high normal, he's closer to just below half, 50%. And so he has normal amount of testosterone circulating through his body. It's nothing special. IGF-1 is 208.
IGF-1, let's check that out. IGF-1, mine's 177, so Shows your insulin resistance.
109 to 353. He's closer to the low end than the high end. Do you really think he's on MK677, growth hormone, and so on when his IGF-1 levels?
I wonder if these levels, if you notice his is a little bit different, the reference range on some of these.
208.
I got the same thing done from LabCorp, but you see his shows 109 to 353. Mine shows 90 to 278. So I wonder if this is age dependent. Possibly, you know, it's a higher top end range for younger people versus me, so I don't know, but still right in the middle of the reference range.
Next, this one is very telling, sex hormone binding globulin.
SHBG, let's see what that is. Mine is 36.8, previously 39. Again, middle of the reference range, just like his.
SHBG, 31. When you're on androgens, for example, if he was on low dose HRT, for example, myself, 140 milligrams a week, my SHBG is very low. It's in the teens. When you're natural, it's typically going to be a little bit higher. But when you're on androgens, even if it had been in a couple of weeks ago and you'd stopped, SHBG usually is suppressed. It's not suppressed. It's in the 30s. And again, this is why I prefer blood work over an actual steroid drug test, because you could actually come off of many steroids and beat the drug test. Test suspension, it's in and out like that. In a week, you're passing the drug test. There's no test suspension in your body, but SHBG would be severely suppressed. You would see it. The fact that Hussein has passed every single marker.
So, I mean, that's overall going over the blood work, and, you know, let me know in the comments, do you think the guy's natural or not? I tend to think it is possible that he is. Of course, he could be not natural. I'll give you that, and it seems very impressive and very unrealistic, especially when you're watching these videos and all these people are claiming he gained 50 pounds of muscle in 3 years, which isn't the case. I made a whole nother video explaining that and how that's not true, because he was only 27 pounds on stage above his starting weight. So if that's the case, how could you have put on 50 pounds of muscle? He would have had to lose a lot of muscle to go into a show, which that doesn't make a lot of sense. So he gained muscle, he gained water, he gained fat, he gained a lot of muscle, but it's a realistic amount even for naturals over a 3-year period. You think like you gain 12 pounds the first year, another 9 the next year, another 7 the next year. Well, how much is that? 28 pounds, and which is about what I came up with in my video, and I compared my own experience of how much I gained when I started in my early 30s, when I went from not training consistently at all. I did train some before that on and off for like 10 years, but in his case, he didn't do anything, and he went from that to working out hard 6 days a week. Like me, I've been literally working out almost every day for the past, since the beginning of 2020, so 5.5 years. Like, you'll see big results if you are progressive overloading and pushing hard and getting enough protein and getting enough calories in every day. You don't have to bulk and get fat, but you'd be surprised. Most people don't even train like over a year, even when they start doing it hard and trying to get into a habit and want to change their physique, because people just don't have the consistency and don't have the willpower to keep doing it, and they don't really love it. If you don't love it, you're not going to keep pushing hard. And guys like him, when you see that progress happening quickly, that's more motivation to just keep going. So, you know, that's what I think about it. I've got other videos talking about reasons why I think he could be natural. Of course, he could be lying to everyone and just faking as much as he could, but the blood work is really telling. I know people say, well, you know, how come you think he's natural, you know, to Greg Doucette versus all these other people that look similar and have similar transformations? And he says all the time, they won't show their blood work. He did, like the other kid that showed his blood work before, and it was very telling on all the stuff he could be taking. So I'm gonna be getting my blood work done again the end of next week. So a week after that, I should have the results. And I'll go over what those are, because I'm interested to see. I've been taking testosterone for almost 4 months now. I'm probably not going to keep taking it because I haven't really seen a big change and stuff over what I would expect just naturally, but I want to see if it affects your blood work at all, and that's what's going to be coming up soon. So keep a lookout for that. Let me know what you think about this or testosterone or whatever else. You got questions about diet, training, anything, let me know down in the comments. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you soon.